All right, the title of this poster is Making AT Solutions for Play and Relaxation, made by Therese Wilkham, PhD, ATP. So the first image here, so the overall poster has 12 photos on it, and it's all related to recreation, playing, relaxation. So the first picture is an image of, it's a dice launcher using Velcro One Wrap. And this has two QR codes that show you how to make it, how to use it. And it's a picture of me with my arms up on the table, looking forward with a big grin on my face. And there is a cup that has some dice in this lid that is flipped upside down. The cup is secured to this kind of triangular wedge with Velcro One Wrap. And then this whole paddle thing that then flips the cup over with the dice, it is secured to the base using a piece of, it's called dandelion wire. It's a rigid vinyl coated wire that I have slid into the flutes on the mounting base, which is about, I'd say maybe 14 inches by 8 inches, and it's secured to the table that I'm sitting at using a product that is called Remo 2, and it's a double-sided removable adhesive. But the green wire that secures the paddle flipper to the mounting base, and that's slid into the flutes. So it's, think about taking a 12-inch piece of wire, bending it in half, and one slides into the base and the other slides into the device that is on top. And so it's a triangle, so it flips back and forth. So it's kind of like a hinge, and it's kind of like spring-loaded. So you hit it and you let go and it flips back and rights itself. Well, creating this flipper, I discovered that I don't need the One Wrap. I could just take this cup and secure it to my flipper using just a piece of double-sided Remo 2. And then rather than having a lid that's flipped upside down so that the dice rest on top, I wouldn't even need to do that. I could just throw, the dice in the cup, because when you hit it, the dice will automatically fly anyways. So the takeaway message, though, is about when you're creating a device, and you're never done because you're always looking at it, can I make it faster, easier, more simply? So that's what this image is about. The next image is, I've been making all of these multi-use, like a marble mazes, sensory boards. And then this image, there is a total of 7 marble mazes and sensory boards. And what they're made out of corrugated plastic, white corrugated plastic. But then I'm using foamies for all the partitions, different colored foamies, because I wanted to have really high contrast for low vision. Then what I'm using is a combination of, some of them have an acrylic on top, see-through acrylic. Some of them have the transparency film that I'm attaching, and all of it is attached using Remo 1, which is permanent on one side and removable on the other. So the first sensory board has partitions. They are going left to right and has a total of 4 partitions. Each board is 9 inches tall by 12 inches wide. And in this particular board, there is a space that's about 1 inch between the partitions. So I have wooden rolling beads in this one that you can roll back and forth. And then I put it on a kind of a rocker board so you can get that sensory, the sound or the vibration. Underneath that one is one that I have the partitions are like L brackets or L-shaped partitions. And inside, I use black Instamorph because it has a different sound. So this, not only are you sliding left, right, but then you flip it to go vertical and go left, right. And so you can get a little bit more movement with that. The next one has these same partitions just going left to right with about 1.5 inches between the partitions. And these are rolling, each one's got 2 rolling beads that roll back and forth. This one I went to Michael's and I found jingle bells. So I filled all the cavities with bells. And all these partitions, I have all these gates to make it more challenging to get all the bells from one side of the board to the bottom right-hand side of the board. And I have bright color contrasts of yellow and green and blue and red. And you get sound with it as you're moving the jingle bells across. And of course, the acrylic and the transparency film prevents anything from sliding out. This next board is, I even put more bells in it, but this time it is, you just roll it left to right to get the bells to move across the board. This next image here shows, it's a marble maze, and I talk about old lady jewelry. So when my mom passed away, there was all these costume jewelry stuff that she had. So I sat over a coffee can and I nipped every little bead. And then I discovered Mardi Gras beads, right? You can get lots of beads. And so I have all these partitions. I've got this maze. And the goal is to move all the beads from one end of the marble maze to the opposite end. And how long does it take you to do that? Then this last sensory board image shows that I'm using a combination of round beads and rectangular beads to slide them through the different partitions, the different maze. All right, this next image is, I discovered at the dollar store, you can get these fairy lights for $1. The batteries cost more than the fairy lights. Well, these tiny fairy lights, if I remove a partition out of the corrugated plastic, and I take 2 pieces of corrugated plastic and I remove the middle partition using the clever cutter, then I embed the fairy lights into that space, and then I put those 2 pieces of corrugated plastic together with double-sided permanent foam mounting tape. And then I create a universal cuff that the hand can slide into and that the battery compartment slides into. And I turn that on and I have a lightsaber. Well, then I discovered there is an app called the Lightsaber app on a cell phone. So if I attach the cell phone to the palm of the person's hand or on the outside of the hand to the universal cuff that the hand slides into, every time you move that sword, and with the built-in gyroscope inside your cell phone and with the app, it goes wah, wah, wah. You know, it makes all those sounds like in Star Wars with the lightsaber. So in this image, I am holding this sword that I made with corrugated plastic and the fairy lights. And there are 2 QR codes. The first QR code is demonstrating how to make it. It is 1 minute and 41 seconds. And the second QR code is how to adapt the lightsaber. And it is 1 minute and 10 seconds. And once again, all of these pictures and QR codes that lead to YouTube videos are also found in my book called Make Stuff and Love People, Assistive Technology Solutions in Minutes, Book 3. And on page 2 in the book is the link to the accessible version with all audio descriptioning that you can download on your computer, and you can click on the hyperlinks for all the QR codes. This next image is really fun. I found these little, what are they called? They're a battery-operated leaf blower, like, you know, a Black & Decker leaf blower, but the leaf blower is, let's see, it is probably 12 inches by 4 inches. So it's a tiny leaf blower. So I mount it on a pop socket so it rotates left to right on a piece of corrugated plastic. So think about a long, the lid of a box. And the lid of this box is let's see, it's 6 feet long by 3 feet wide. And the sides of this lid of this box that I made out of corrugated plastic, the sides are about 6 inches tall. So it's a long, and so creating a way to take ping pong balls and putting all these gates, and you have to use the leaf blower and rotate it to the left or right to push the ping pong ball through this maze all the way to the other end of the box to the finish line. So this rests on a table, and we make it wheelchair accessible for kids to play different games with that. All right. This next image is a bowling ramp that is secured to a power wheelchair. So there's this girl in a power wheelchair, and this bowling ramp is to the right of her chair, and I'm using one wrap to secure it to the frame on the wheelchair so it doesn't tip over. The bowling ramp is made out of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. And then this is for candlestick bowling. And it turns out that the diameter of a CD is the same diameter of the candlestick bowling. So this was really great. So making the ramp part that rolls down, I could figure out how far does it have to be apart. So it's probably about 6 inches apart. Then the outriggers, so that the whole thing doesn't tip over, the outriggers extend out about 4 inches and slide underneath the wheelchair. So now what she does is the ball is at the top, and she just uses her right hand and she just gently pushes the ball. It goes down the ramp and then down the bowling alley. So this was a fun project to work on. So the text on this image says, the bowling ramp is secured to the wheelchair using Velcro brand 1-Wrap. A stopper was made to keep the ball from rolling backwards and to make it easy for her to push it forward. And then there's an arrow to how I added Instamorph to make it a smooth, because when you have joints with PVC pipe, it adds a bump, and I don't want bumps. I want it to roll smoothly. And so, but to keep it from rolling backwards, all I had to do was wrap around a piece of 1-Wrap, and it creates a stopper so that the ball doesn't roll backwards. This next image is titled Tactile Multi-Use Trackboard. So it is 9 inches wide. It's 12 inches wide by 9 inches tall. And it has a variety of objects that slide back and forth inside of this track that I made out of corrugated plastic. And there are pop sockets, and these pop sockets are all of different colors, and there's different objects. There's a fidget spinner on there. There's a magnetic little man that slides back and forth. There's a Disney character like a mouse with the thing. So what I wanted to create was I wanted to create a multi-sensory board for children who are blind that had multiple different textures, that every object that slides back and forth is different shapes, different feels. Like one is a soft squishy thing, one is a silicone man standing upright, one is a hand waving, another is that Disney thing with jingle bells on the inside. And so to be able to rotate, spin, and slide back and forth. The text on this says, use a variety of different objects to create a multi-sensory board for patterns, challenges, communication, or relaxation, such as spinner objects or three-dimensional objects. This next image is my thumb twiddler, the blue thing that spins around. So normally you would put this over your index finger. It's about 2.5 inches. It's got three, like a sheriff's stars with 3 nubs for the star. And it's a nice kind of fidget item. Well, I discovered that I could take 1/2 inch CPVC pipe and slide that through the center, take 2 end caps, push it on the 2 ends, then take dual lock, put dual lock on the bottom of an end cap, and then push the dual lock into a dual lock board. So you can position these, and then if you take your finger and rock back and forth, they connect. So you have these gears that connect, and it makes different sounds. So the text on this image says, snap and play interactive thumb twiddlers, just snapping them into the mounting base covered with dual lock. The materials you need for this project is dual lock, a mounting board, 2 end caps, 1/2 inch CPVC, and 2 and 3 7/8 inch pieces of PVC pipe to put this all together. Okay, the next image was kind of fun. So I make this thumb twiddler, and it turns out that the thumb twiddler that's a 5-star base, these little nubs on the star are round, and they snap in perfectly into 1/4 inch lock line spout nozzles. So I pop those all in and I add feet to this. Now I have these 2 little adjustable fidget where you can, they look like 2 clowns. They're standing up on the table. They've got these little black feet made out of Instamorph that they're standing with. And it's just a cute, fun little fidget item, little guy that you can make and change his arms and have him wave, all of that using a combination of my thumb twiddler that I've 3D printed and the 1/4 inch lock line nozzles. This next image is, this is a child who is on the deafblind census, and so the challenge with a lot of these kids playing with toys, they drop them. And then when they drop them, you're running around on the floor trying to get the ball, trying to get the slinky. So I figured out a way that I could create a mount that extends from the back of her power wheelchair. And this little girl, she looks like she's maybe 4 years old in the power chair. So now she can reach out and interact with all these multi-sensory toys. And when she lets go, they don't drop on the floor. They are suspended from this mounting bracket that I've created. All right, this next one, whoops, is a ball launcher. And so this ball launcher, what I did was I was in Wyoming and they gave me one of these slap koozies to go around a soda can. Well, I discovered that if I bend a slap koozie backwards, it then becomes spring-loaded. So I thought, geez, I could take one of these plastic 3-inch Frisbees, take Remo 2, put that on the back and attach that to bending a koozie backwards, put a ping pong ball in there. Well, now the koozie, I made this whole thing that attaches to the table, clamps onto the table using these really wide binder clips. And I create a tube that 1/2 inch CPVC pipe slides into. It grips and holds the neoprene on the slap koozie backwards. So it holds the ball in place. And then when you take your hand and roll backwards on the piece of pipe, it rolls off of the neoprene slap koozie and it launches the ping pong ball up into the air. And if you put Velcro on this ping pong ball, you can have competitions. You can have a target that you shoot the ball at. And I wanted this so that Caitlin could load it herself. She could operate it herself. And in this image, there are 3 QR codes that take you to the videos demonstrating how it works. And then the text on this image says 1/2 inch CPVC pipe slides into the track created with 3 pieces of overlapping corner guard on both ends. The next text says rolling the pipe backwards releases the koozie to launch the ball. The next text says end caps have been added to both ends of the PVC pipe. It says, note that the rubber material on the bottom of the slap koozie grips onto the bottom of the CPVC pipe. 2 large binder clips are used to secure the acrylic base to the desk or table. The corner guard is attached to a 1/4 inch acrylic base using VHB tape. So it shows how to work it. And then Caitlin has her hand on the pipe ready to pull back to launch the ball in the image. This next image is a hands-free marshmallow shooter. And it is made out of 1/2-inch CPVC pipe. And it has a mouthpiece that's 3 inches that you put your mouth over. And it has a barrel end, which is 5 inches. And between the mouthpiece end and the barrel end, which raises up off the table about 5 inches, there's a T-joint that has two 2-inch pieces of CPVC pipe into the left and right horizontal part of the T-joint. The vertical part of the T-joint is inserted into a 5-inch piece, which is then inserted into a winged elbow. And the winged elbow has a nice flat surface, and dual lock, that stuff that you put, you're mounting your Easy Pass and your windshield. So that's dual lock, and dual lock is mounted on the bottom of the winged elbow as well as on the tabletop itself. But I left some of the backing on so I could easily remove the dual lock from the table without damaging the table. Then there is a 1-inch piece of CPVC pipe sticking out the end of the winged elbow with an end cap. So this whole thing, you mount it in front of the person. You put a 1/2-inch, or you take one of those miniature marshmallows and split it in half and stick it in the barrel end. Just let it drop in the barrel end. And then because there's an end cap on that, you create the pressure on that so that when you put your mouth over the mouthpiece end and you blow, it then shoots that marshmallow across the room. And the cool thing about the elbow joints that are located on the barrel end and the mouthpiece end is you can adapt that. You can aim that to whatever your target is at. So this is a nice, once it's mounted. And I used to do these things for birthday parties for kids, and I'd have everybody make a hands-free marshmallow shooter and have competitions. There's a QR code on this image that's called Hands-Free Marshmallow Shooter. The video is 1 minute and 49 seconds. This next image is I took all my thumb twiddlers and I mounted them into CPVC pipe with an end cap and a winged elbow. The winged elbows slide back and forth inside of my trackboard. My trackboard is 12 inches wide by 9 inches tall, and I have 3 rows. So I have 3 tracks that this whole thing slides in and out. Now, these thumb twiddlers, I can take PVC pipe and create a whole gear mechanism, a whole gear thing that they all interact so that when you move one of the twiddlers, all 6 of them move all at the same time. And they make a nice noise. You can also slide it off of there and put a piece of Remo 2 on the bottom of a winged elbow, and you can mount that vertically on a wall, or you can mount it, at 80-degree angle on a book holder, and you can create a fidget spinner kind of thing that for somebody who only has a use of one hand, or somebody that has difficulty, can't hold an object. This next image it's a picture of a woman who is doing weight lifting using her forearm. And so I designed it for somebody with a hand amputation that wanted to lift free weights. And so you take these free weights, and I take 2 pieces of Velcro 1 wrap and double face loop so it's nice and soft. I create a cuff that the forearm slides into, and then there's the second loop that interacts with the cuff loop that holds the free weight. So this allows you to work on your bicep muscles. And there's a QR code on this image that says one-handed weight, and it's 1 minute and 40 seconds. And then, of course, at the bottom of this, it says University of New Hampshire Institute on Disability with the UNH Shield. And 18&H is funded under a provision of the Administration for Community Living, ACL, through grant number 2401 NHATSG.